Welcome back. Travel and Vino here again. Um, Today we're going to talk about Istanbul. Um, After our last little video, we made our way to Istanbul, which is capital of, actually it's not the capital of Turkey, is
Not the
it?
capital.
Not the
Ankara
capital of
is.
Turkey, but it's a very, very large city uh, on the coast of Turkey between Europe and Asia. Um, So let's talk a little bit about the layout of Istanbul. There's a Bosphorus Strait runs through Istanbul. So you have on the west side, you have what they call the European side, which is kind of a, I don't know, just a marketing thing, I guess. And then on the east side, you have the Asian side, which is not really part of Asia, I guess, but
But it's probably like 93, 94% of Istanbul is on the Asian side, which is I always thought was kind of interesting.
90, really? I didn't know it was that
I
high.
read that somewhere.
Okay,
So
right on.
fact check me. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust it. So yeah, anyway, that Istanbul's kind of laid out. I'll show you a map here. What the areas are of Istanbul. I mean, we stayed in the Çengelköy'e area, which is a real kind of eclectic area in the center. Kind of in northern part of the European part of the city.
It's close to the Galata Tower, so
Yeah.
kind of that area.
Near
Also.
Taksim Square. So yeah, there was, it was a pretty nice but very hilly
Yes.
part of the city.
Everything was uphill.
Everything was at the top of this hill, which was massive. Galata Tower area is nice, and then you have Karakoy, which is down by the port where the big ships, cruise ships, come in.
Horn
And then you have the Horn to the south of that. I guess there's a river that kind of separates that. And the Horn has a lot of the historic places.
all the big mosques, and then the
Yeah.
Grand Bazaar Market and Spice Market. And
Yeah. So
yeah.
the Blue Mosque is there, and then the Hagia Sophia Mosque is also there. And yeah, it's gigantic area.
Very touristy.
Very touristy. Lots of cruise boats come in there, and obviously that's what they want to go see, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the Horn area, and then across on the Asian side, you have more of like the working area, residential area, and you've got
Yeah, there's not really any touristy things. There's a great boardwalk along the sea,
yes.
and then just
You got Karakoy, or Katakoy, sorry.
Katakoy.
Katakoy, which is kind of a trendy area.
Üsküdar is another one.
Üsküdar.
Yeah. Those are the most popular on the Asian side, I think. We didn't get any further than that.
So yeah, if you were coming to Istanbul, I mean, I wouldn't stay in the Horn area.
It's just so touristy. I mean,
Yeah.
if that's all you want to see is everything that's touristy there, that's a good place
Like
because
there's
you're
hotels
right
there,
there.
and there's things like that. But all
I
the restaurants
loved,
are
I loved our area where we stayed just because we were close to stuff, but not right on it.
right.
So.
Right. So I'll highlight where we were.
And then, Turkey just has so much history to it. So,
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of history. I mean, this particular area has been, previously known as Constantinople. It was a huge trading link between Asia and Europe for many thousands of years. It's been conquered by so many different people: the Byzantines, the Ottomans, the Turks. Ottoman Turks is the same, but just a lot of different influence, Roman influence. I mean, so yeah, there's just a ton of history, and there was that one king that invaded Turkey in 1995. You probably know him as Burger King. So, yeah, let's talk about getting around Istanbul. What do you?
they have a great transportation system. So, but the funny thing is, we never took the buses, but the buses are great. We took the ferries all the time. Yeah, we did take one subway. We took the metro.
Yeah.
When we were going to the airport.
Yeah.
But besides that, I think we took an Uber twice, maybe getting to and from parts of the airport or whatever. But there's so much traffic there that it's insane. It's just easier to walk.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Their transportation system's really good. They have the Istanbul card, which you get, and you just top it up, and the rides are very cheap. I mean, the ferry rides were pennies on the dollar, so
Oh yeah.
very cheap to get around. And we walked most places. I mean, that was the main mode of transportation for us, to just walk, because it's
Just the traffic is so bad. It's
much easier to just,
it's faster. to just,
unless you're going up the hill to get back to our apartment, then that's kind of tough. But yeah, so what else? Talk about some excursions that we did.
Yeah, well, the ones I think we like the most are going to the islands, the Princess Islands, and we went to the two largest ones. I can put the names in there. I don't want to say them because I'll just butcher it. But
Yeah.
they were great, just very residential, quiet. Only electric cars can be on there, and so it was just a nice change from being in Istanbul to just spend the day there, and it just quiet and little cafes and big parks, and we just kind of hiked around the whole island on both of those.
Yeah.
And that was great. And then, the rest of it, we just basically checked out neighborhoods. There was a Jewish quarter that's the Balat area.
Mm-hmm.
And we liked that a lot. That was really interesting and
Yeah.
had some good history and streets and things
Yeah,
like that.
and we went to the, what was it, the Taksim Square area north of that. What was that neighborhood where it's like Beverly Hills
Oh,
of Istanbul?
Yes.
Very nice.
very
Lots
nice.
of nice
Yeah.
shopping and
Gucci,
stuff. And,
all the
Yeah.
name brands
yeah,
shopping and
whatever you're
everything.
looking for.
Yeah, Islet was the big shopping street that was probably a couple miles long.
Mm-hmm.
It has the tram on it, and you're not supposed to drive, but you always had to be getting out of the way of motorcycles and cars and police
Yeah.
and the tram and massive amounts of people. But it's just shopping. It's just miles of just shopping street.
Tons of shopping in Istanbul, and a lot of it's kind of like, I mean, we saw a lot of like knockoff stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah,
if you want to get
Polo
some,
knockoff and black market.
yeah, anything you want to get, you can get really nice stuff.
Yeah.
Very reasonable price, but it's probably not real, right?
No.
So,
No, but that's cheaper. So it's a good place if you're into shopping. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just you
absolutely.
can get anything and everything there. So
we
which is
did,
awesome.
We did load up on a couple of things, but yeah.
And then we went across. We took the ferry across to the Asian side a few times. I guess 3 times, and did Üsküdar and Katakoy, and then we met actually Tracer and Esna. So friend's son of ours that as they're just going to be
Newlyweds.
Yeah, they're getting married in a couple of weeks, and they're moving. They moved back, and they're going to be in Turkey for at least a year, if not more.
Yeah.
So that was exciting to go and have breakfast with them, and that was fun to catch up and
Yeah.
everything that they've been doing. So that was our
Right on.
one good social
Yeah.
thing I think that we had, which was great. So, and I thought, we didn't really get a chance to try all the foods when we were in Antalya and then making our way up, but I kind of feel like we did more in Istanbul where we tried a lot of them.
Yeah. There's more Turkish delight shops than there are grocery stores. It's ridiculous. So definitely get you some Turkish delight when you're in Turkey.
Yeah, but they have like their pasta manti is some type of meat that's wrapped in
Little bitty
pasta.
ravioli.
But it was good. Gazlami, which is like a quesadilla.
Yeah. Pides.
Doner, which is the stripped meat,
Yeah.
and kebabs, and I feel like we ate more of the traditional menemé. I think is right. Is that right?
That was in the little
It's,
pan. And
for breakfast,
yeah,
it's
that was
tomato
nice.
and other stuff.
Sausage and eggs and all kinds of stuff.
With
So,
bread,
yeah,
but yeah, it was fabulous. So, and the people there are just so social. So I mean, it's the same, same thing. Everybody's drinking tea and coffee at 10 o'clock at night, and
I will say, the Turkish people are very nice people. I
Yes.
mean, our
Very
apartment, the guy was very nice.
yes,
Very, very nice guy. And he was always downstairs at the door greeting people and coming and going.
and the coffee shop next door that I think he owned or part owned or something. Those guys were awesome, very helpful, just nice. We always checked in with them,
Yeah, very friendly.
probably to find out what's going on.
The apartment wasn't that great.
No,
I
it
wouldn't.
was
I wouldn't
horrible.
recommend it. But yeah,
We're not going to share that one with you because if you want to cook, you couldn't.
no, it was.
So-
I think it was the smallest apartment in this building, and some of the other apartments were okay.
Yeah.
Just not this one. So yeah, we should have.
It had a nice
asked.
terrace
Yeah.
upstairs on the roof, which was great. But other than that, it was a little
Nice
tricky.
view up there, but it was just too cold to spend much time up there, so we didn't. We would have liked to.
Yeah,
have
it
spent
did get a little
more time
chilly,
up there.
chilly and windy. And then I guess there was a couple of really big things that happened while we were there.
Yeah.
One you felt more than I did, but the earthquake.
The earthquake, yes. So we had a earthquake off the coast of Turkey in the sea. That was, a lot of people felt it. I didn't really feel it.
It was trippy because we were walking down the shopping street and all the windows started moving.
We saw the windows kind of shaking and we were like, wow, that's kind of weird.
And then everybody started rushing out of the buildings, and so we were like, oh, something happened. But,
something's going on, yeah.
Yeah, they had little aftershocks after that, I guess.
Yeah, I think I felt one of the aftershocks sitting on the couch, looking at the computer. I felt the couch move a little bit. I thought, okay, that was kind of weird. But yeah, that was the first time I've ever felt an earthquake or anything like that. So yeah. But no damage, no real damage that we could see.
I think the only thing I heard was that there was a couple of people that I guess freaked out maybe and jumped out of buildings, and that was their injuries. But there was actually no need to do that because it really
it wasn't that severe.
Nothing that was going on.
It was just more of a sudden shock, and I think they got a little bit of earthquake fear and anxiety there, waiting on the big one. So
yeah. So, and then they had a big celebration May 1st.
Yep. May Day is a big...
it's like our Labor Day.
Yeah, kind of a Labor Day, Workers' Day, kind of. And it's got a lot of history in Turkey because of some historical protest and people getting hurt and killed and things of that nature. So this year, they locked it down.
Shut it all down. So, a couple of days before they were putting up...
police barricades.
The barricades, and so that was weird to be a part of that because, there was so much police presence all the time anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always like bunches of them on the corners and around churches and just everything like that. I mean, we felt completely safe. I mean, I didn't feel weird the entire time we were there, but I guess there's been issues in the past, and so they just overkill it, which was nice.
Yeah.
But it was 10 times that, I think, on the day of May 1st.
Yeah,
and
they
so
just didn't want anybody
driving. They shut down a lot of the streets where you couldn't get close to Taksim Square.
Right.
You had to go through checkpoints if you were out walking around to show why you wanted to go through this area, your passport, things like that.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. It was
it's like a lockdown. It was a full lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody really out in the streets, very few. So that was definitely an interesting day. So, and then the next day was back to normal. But I think that was probably the most stressless walking day we had because there wasn't all the motorcycles on the sidewalks and the traffic going all the different directions and the mass amounts of people walking. So for that, it was kind of fun for that part of it. But So.
Well, we're going to do a little bit something different today. Instead of just talking about expectations and things like that, we're going to talk about observations. So, got a list of observations I'm going to go through and go right ahead. So, first of all, there's a lot of people in Istanbul. 16 million people is the official number. There's just as many tourists and probably twice as many scooters. So, there's a lot of people, and they're always... when you're out, it's like elbow walking with everybody. So it's like crazy.
Yeah.
It was stressful walking around like that with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did try and find green spaces for that just to get away from it in parks and things like that and the islands. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Take the excursion, get away from the city and get out to the islands. Yeah. Good idea. Number 2, there's so many ferry boats. I mean, so the Bosphorus obviously separates the city quite a bit. But one of the main means of transportation to get across the Bosphorus Strait there is the ferries. And there's so many ferry boats. At times, you can actually walk from one side to the other without getting your feet wet. Right?
That's true. It's very true.
What else?
I don't know how they didn't have wrecks.
No, I don't either.
We
I don't know how
shocked.
they didn't run into each other. We were like,
no way.
They're gonna hit. They're gonna hit. No.
Super close, but yeah.
Next one. There are no rats or mice in the city of Istanbul because they have so many cats.
And the cats are great. I mean, they really get taken care of, and
they enforce the law quite a bit. There are no rats or mice anywhere around. So
That's true. But they're sweet.
But they're sweet. Okay, we'll let
They'll
them.
jump in your lap and just, they were very friendly there.
Number 4, there are a lot of tourist traps in Istanbul. Everything from the holes in the sidewalk to the guy who wants to shine your shoes.
Yeah.
Let me explain. If you haven't seen this scam, this is for you. When you're walking in Istanbul, there will be a shoe shiner walking around in front of you, and he's going to drop his brush. Don't pick it up. It's a trap. We knew about this going in, but we saw so many tourists who did not know, and they pick up the brush.
Trying to be nice.
They're trying to be nice. Oh, dude, you dropped your brush. And it's an invitation to get a shoe shine.
And he'll say he'll do it free, but then he wants money after he does it. So
That's
yeah,
right. It's the oldest scam in the book. Don't fall for it.
Keep on walking.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
the next one, Istanbul and Turkey in general, is a giant ashtray. Everybody smokes, and I mean the cigarette butts are everywhere. The smell of cigarettes is everywhere. And I'm sorry if you smoke, but
for ones that don't,
it's
it's
overwhelming.
hard to breathe. Yeah.
You're walking down the street and
Hold your breath a lot.
with 30 million of your other friends, and everybody's smoking, and you can't get a breath in because the guy in front of you smoking and the guy next to you smoking, and whatever.
And everything's open air cafes, so if you're sitting inside, you still get the smoke inside. And yeah.
So that's kind of a bummer. So we mentioned the next observation, which was a very serious police presence. Obviously, Istanbul has had some security challenges, and they are trying to address it, I guess. I mean, I never felt unsafe, but
very nice. They were very friendly. I mean, yeah.
But they take it to the next level.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's guys with armored cars on lots of streets.
Big guns.
Especially on the shopping street. They've got their automatic machine guns ready to go. They're decked out in riot gear. They're not screwing around.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But we felt safe. So
yeah,
I mean, it's
couldn't imagine.
That's not a scary thing. That was, I mean, it actually makes you feel basically safer.
Makes you wonder why.
Why so much? Yeah.
Why so much? But I mean, obviously they've had some challenges in the past, and they just want to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
And the last one, for me, observation-wise, we almost got mugged at the Istanbul airport. We went into TGI Fridays, and they wanted $40 for a hamburger. And we almost did it. And we realized something was going on here, so we left. Thank goodness, because that was a mugging in progress there.
Right out in the open.
Right out in the open, in front of everybody. Oh my goodness. So yeah, no, we had a good time in Istanbul. Seriously.
We loved it. Yeah, it was insane, but it was so much fun and so many cool things to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, the sightseeing was great. The people were friendly. Just, we really, really loved it.
And then, it's a big tourist stopover. I mean, the cruise boats going there. So there's a lot to see, and it's a lot of history there. And so it's well worth going and visiting. I mean, I think 3 weeks was plenty.
Yeah.
I was ready to get out of there.
Just for quiet.
Just to be quiet for a while and get away from the smoke. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But anyway, so I think that's it. So if y'all have questions, then let us know. Otherwise, we're off in Australia now, and it's beautiful, lovely, quiet. So
this is just a small preview of what's to come.
Yeah, I know. And this is the place
on
we're
the
staying.
travel and the Vino.
So yeah. But anyway, cheers.
Cheers.